But the question has to be asked, just how violent are the modern left, the so-called resistance protesting against the Trump administration? Are they so filled with hate that they'd crowdfund shootings and bombings? Documentary filmmaker Ami Horowitz travelled to Minnesota to conduct a hidden camera experiment among anti-ICE protesters.
I want to raise money for weapons. I want to go after ICE. We need money for weapons, for bombs. We need to fight back against these animals.
I'm with you.
We need to tear them apart, literally, not figuratively.
Do you want me to get off live while you talk about this?
Yes. Guns, explosives. That's the kind of language they understand, and that's what we need to do. If you feel me.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. This is just not working.
You feel me?
I feel you.
And that takes weapons, and that takes explosives, and that takes blowing up. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay, it's a GoFundMe. That's how it's money.
It's a GoFundMe. We gotta fucking kill these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need to go after these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to hurt them. We need to kill them. I think we have to start killing people, man, frankly.
Right.
I think that's the only way for us to get the message across because, let's be honest, saying F you, they don't give a
yeah, literally.
Exactly. They're just like, look at these guys wasting their time again. I know what you mean.
Okay. It's easy to get these lunatics to agree that violence and killing is the only way, but would any of them be willing to donate money to fund acts of violence, acts of murder? Let's see.
I mean, I'm kind of a broke college student, but like I'll donate like 10, 20 bucks.
Not very much. I'm a student. Maybe like 50 bucks.
15 bucks?
Oh, maybe like $50 currently.
Yeah. Bless you. Bless you.
Oh, we probably spent only like 20 bucks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being out here too.
Take care. I appreciate you. Peace and love.
Yeah, peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love, brother. Take care.
Love you, man.
Peace and love indeed. Let's bring in documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, your violent rhetoric and plot to commit violence against ICE agents, it seemed to be terribly popular. Did you have any pushback?
By the way, did you notice that one guy goes, "I love you, man"? He was so taken. He was so excited by it. His emotion just came out. By the way, I also want to point out that if you notice each one was like, "I'm a broke college student." One person was like, "My husband just got laid off, but I'll drop 50 on you, okay? A 50 burger." Yeah. Yeah, they were excited to do it. And to answer your question, did anybody say no? No, not a single person said no. I want to point something out also, is that I was only there for 30 minutes because my security team noticed that they had recognized me after 30 minutes and that things were about to go down. So I had to hightail out of there. So I raised nearly $200 in less than 30 minutes from these people. Peace and love, right? Feel me? You feel me? I mean, this was look, when I do these experiments, when I'm sitting on my couch and I'm smoking a cigar and having some scotch, and I come up with this idea, I often go, nah, there's no way, right? There's no way that they will give me money to, and I was very clear about the use of proceeds, Rita. I wasn't hiding it. I was saying I want to buy guns and explosives because I want to kill ICE officers. There's no nuance to what I was saying. It was very, very, very clear. Yeah, this is the kind of people that we're dealing with. Violence is their currency. This is how, look, when I shoot in New York, frankly, I don't have a security team. But when I go to Minneapolis in particular, Seattle, Portland, those three cities in particular, if you don't have security, you're taking your life in your own hands. Just the day after I shot that, they grabbed the same place that I was shooting. They grabbed another conservative YouTuber. They dragged him, beat him, and stabbed him. There's no police presence. ICE are the only people out there, and they are actually quite calm. The only time they get involved is when they start approaching ICE officers and impeding them from coming out. This is what we're dealing with, okay? And, also, look, I want to be clear. Look, they're also not, look, I'm in support of ICE, right? You know that, 100%. I think there's also kind of an optics problem that we have, okay? And I think it's something we need to fix. Part of what I was doing here was to show that it's difficult for ICE to deal with these people because they are, in fact, violent. But I also think, on the other hand, there's a way to deal with this. The numbers are not good for President Trump. And I think it's because, not that I support everything ICE has done, but there's an optics issue. Even though he was leading this immigration issue, obviously by double-digit points. He's now underwater on the way they view ICE, whether or not their cities are more safer, and the immigration issue in general. So I think we have to find a way to deal with this in an optic level.
Well, yeah, the optics are a problem. But then again, when you've got segments of the media who are failing to report on serious aspects of this debate, then you're going to have that perception out there. But back to these protesters, as we saw, they're far from peaceful. Their appetite for violence, for essentially what is terrorism, is high. What can be done in the bigger picture beyond this particular debate and this protest? Because this seems to be a phenomenon with the modern left where they think the ends justify the means. And if it means you're going to have to kill somebody, then they can rationalise it in their minds.
Yeah, there's no limiting principle because the rhetoric that everyone, they're no question, they're taking their cues from the media, from the center left. I mean, when the center left is saying and the media is saying that we're in a fascist state where you have to show your papers like they did in Germany, okay? By the way, as a Jew, I can't think of a more offensive comparison than that. Yeah, they're taking their cues from the media. And again, like I said, there's no limiting principle. So if you're dealing with Nazis, you're going to why not kill people who are Nazis, right? I mean, I think we would all support attacking Nazis. And that's the rhetoric that we're dealing with. And I think it's also important to point out is that these people also, they really care about what the tactics of ICE, or this is a larger issue. And my argument is that this is a larger issue. What they're looking for are open border. This is what the hard left wants, not the center left, but the hard. They want an open border policy. They want as many illegals to be in the country. They don't care about the issues of fraud and violence and crime. It's meaningless to them. But what matters to them is they want a permanent leftist majority that can defeat Republican values or Republicans at the electorate forever. That's their goal. And that means filling it with criminals across the border. They have no issue with that whatsoever. Zero.
Now, staying in Minnesota, President Trump has again targeted the state's Somali-born lawmaker, Ilhan Omar. He's called her crooked army, and there is now an investigation by congressional Republicans on the House Oversight Committee into how Ilhan Omar has amassed such significant wealth as a politician. In just 1 year, Omar's net worth jumped $30 million, according to financial disclosures, Ami. I mean, she's not alone. There is a lot of people who seem to be going into politics and coming out very rich when they started with nothing. And it just erodes trust in politicians, in democracy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that she felt so comfortable putting it out there, right, and disclosing it, hiding in plain sight, because we do have a problem with congresspeople in general, and the rules that apply to us don't necessarily apply to them, and that needs to be fixed. But look, here is a lesson for all the kids, Rita. You ready? The sunglasses will always get you, okay? Do you remember there was, with the whole Somali daycare fraud, there was a dude who gets up there when his daycare center was accused of being part of stealing money, and he was talking about how his documents were stolen. Nothing else, but the documents were stolen. Of course, it's all coming out now that was kind of an inside job. He was wearing $2,500 sunglasses, okay? And Ilhan Omar, the socialist queen, she rolls with Prada and Jimmy Choo sunglasses, right? Thousands of dollars in sunglasses. Yeah, if I was worth $30 million, I might also drop $500 for a pair of shades. Look, this is a problem. Are we shocked? Look, I can see the argument how one could have a company that went from 0 to 30 million in net worth over a year. It is possible. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And her husband, he's been embroiled in a bunch of shady stuff, right? They had this winery. By the way, no shade on winery. I love a bold Grenache, okay? But this company has had so many issues with investors, right? Where investors sued them for breach of contract. Another investor in the wine company and this other company they had, which sold the ganja, was being sued for fraud, okay? If you remember not too long ago, right before they got married, Her campaign was paying him to be a consultant. That's an ethical no-no. And frankly, other things. And then conveniently,
there's a lot of things when there's a lot of things when it comes to Ilhan Omar. I mean, there is serious concerns that she married her own brother at one point, Ami. So everything you describe now seems fairly minor in comparison.
Yeah, look, there's some gross stuff, Ilhan, no question about it. And I think an investigation is warranted. But you made the point, which I made at the beginning, is like, look, there needs to be. We talked about a bunch of congresspeople famously, including Nancy Pelosi, who have skyrocketed net worth when they actually don't have a job for decades other than being in Congress. So, yeah, I think we have to take a closer look at these rules and laws in general that allow somebody to be so brazen with that.
Now, one of the most underreported stories of the last month has been the massive drop in crime numbers in the US. The number of murders has dropped by almost 20%, the largest single-year drop. There was also drops, Ami, in the number of assaults, rapes, robberies. This is good news, but it's good news that did not get a great deal of coverage.
No, it didn't, and obviously they didn't cover it. I mean, they certainly did cover it when it was under the Biden administration, but didn't cover it under the Trump administration. Now, look, to be honest, federal policy doesn't have a huge amount of reflection on local crime statistics. That's more about the local governance of those cities. Although there was a 28% drop in murder and robbery and rape in Washington, D.C., I think one can make the argument that bringing the troops there certainly had an effect on that. But there was also a 28% drop in other cities. New York had a 20% drop. Chicago almost 28%. And so, look, crime numbers are interesting, and it takes time to see where those numbers are coming from. Kind of, a 9, 10, 12-month statistic doesn't tell the entire story. We'll find out. But look, I'm open to the argument that when they see a president who's tough on crime, yeah, that might deter people from committing certain crimes. I could buy into that.
And if you deport a few criminals, that probably helps as well. Now, let's end on some happy news. Lotus is pregnant. Yes, the second lady of the United States, Vance, is pregnant with her fourth child. Ami, she is an impressive woman. She's a top litigator. She even clerked for Supreme Court Chief Justices, and soon she's going to be a very busy mother of four and possibly a future First Lady.
Yeah, Slotus. I don't like that term. That's a weird term. Don't use that again, please. Please, I'm begging
I didn't come up with it. It's Second Lady of the United States.
No, I get the acronym. Fair, fine.
FLOTUS, FLOTUS flows a bit better.
Yes. Okay. She is she's an amazing person, really a very impressive person. But again, I have to hearken back to when President Trump and J.D. Vance were running, and MSNBC, woman at MSNBC said, yeah, all J.D. Vance wants are more white kids. Yeah, he's producing a lot of brown kids, just a new one. So, just going back to that one lady who said it, there's another brown kid in the world created by J.D. Vance. So there you go.
Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Always a pleasure.